Ching. And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with.
Tank?
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, and Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. And how's it going with you, Tank, today?
I am, enjoying the journey here. Very excited and paying attention.
Yes, I'm enjoying the journey myself, though there are some times when things seem a little bit daunting. I had a converse. I heard a video from Dave Hodges, and it was very heavy. And now I think that the things that he is saying about the things that were put into place are true. Though my opinion is that we're actually going to win this. But what he was saying was that this impeachment, if it doesn't go well, that there is, the next thing is to do the mental incompetency of Trump to get him out of office. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to resort to utter chaos. And the things that were going on south of the border were meant to start some of that. There's going to be more of that going on. So the wall had more purpose in it than to stop immigrants from crossing the border. It really has a military purpose to it. It's very important to recognize that. And the thing that they were going to do was also activate basically, he says that in the Americas there's over 5 million Chinese stationed, and the plan was basically to literally just destroy the whole United States, to remove the United States of America from the map, and it was between Russia and China as a communist plan, right? And that this was because they looked at America as the enemy, and this is to be so even the idea of doing re-education camps and FEMA camps and all of this was really just set up to as a system to kill off people, thus the guillotines. And harvesting and everything of that. But people would just think they would be re-educated and moved to other places, but in reality, they were being literally killed. And literally, they wanted to kill everyone. And if it didn't work this way, they were prepared to go to nuclear weapons to make it a wasteland. Now, of course, that's not the best option for them. Of course, not for us. But who wants to deal with nuclear waste and all the radiation and the rest of that? But they are ready to go to those depths to destroy all of America. So that's what I got from Dave Hodges. And again, I have no doubt that the Chinese have been planted. He's been talking about this for years. He's had evidence. He's done stories. He's has pictures. He's got plans. He's got this stuff that's been leaked to him for decades, and he's been on this. So I don't doubt that this has occurred. I don't believe they will be successful, but I'm not saying that they're not going to make moves. But
okay.
Go ahead.
So I have nothing but respect for Dave Hodges, and he is 100% right. That was the plan. Matter of fact, for the most part, what most people think is trusting the plan. That is the plan they're talking about. I'm convinced of that. Dan and I don't agree on that, but that's okay. That was the plan. Matter of fact, tied into that plan is the global currency reset, which really is the global reset. And every now and again, you'll hear a compromised guru who's really an asset to the CIA, of which I know for a fact from personal experience that there are several of them out there, because I actually intercepted a communication to one of these individuals that was provided to me by an insider who's fighting to disrupt this, that actually told them, this guru, to destroy my reputation. That was like 5 years ago, and that was the first smear campaign I ever saw launched on me, and I watched them attack me, in a room where what they would do is a chat room. And I would say, like, hey, how's everybody doing? And the admin would erase what I said and say, Tank, now don't you start. Like, no matter what I said, they would erase it and then just respond to me as if I said something aggressive, right? Which is a tactic, right? It's a very common tactic they're using with Trump right now, right?
Right.
So I just want to state, for the record, I know that they were, many of the gurus in the dinar world are compromised directly. Okay. Now, secondly, I can also state the fact that I worked directly with the White Hats. I got intel directly from the White Hats all the time. So this is the other group that oftentimes people think, oh, they're gonna save us, right? Now, the White Hats worked at the behest of the Chinese elders, because in the plan was rolled out like in the 70s, right? And basically, what the plan was to transfer power from the dragon families of the West over to the dragon families of the East. And in this plan, that you had to basically, choose your demons and your villains from the West, and make it justifiable that you could take them out, right? Mm-hmm. So now, and this was, and Dan is Dave Hodges and Dan are exactly right? This is a communist plan with, Russia and China. Now, in this, it wasn't the Russian and Chinese governments necessarily. It was really the Russian and Chinese dragon families. Right. And whenever Trump attacks China, he's attacking the dragon families.
Yes, I agree.
That's why in one breath, he'll attack the Chinese and then say what a great leader President Xi is. Right? So this is exactly what the plan was described: infiltrate, take over, genocide. Now, in the genocide plan, one of the key components to the genocide was the creation of the global currency reset. Also, first, you were going to have the currency revaluation. These are two separate events. The currency revaluation would have revalued the currency at a much higher rate. This would have caused a forced implosion of the world economy. And it would have appeared like, and this is what everyone would have been rooting for, right? Because everyone in the GCR was rooting for the economy to crash. They were like, it's about to happen, it's going down, right? And they were talking about this with all the evil bankers. But yet, some of your key intel sources were bankers. And for some reason, people thought, well, those bankers are good, you know. And in this plan, no one in the GCR ever talked about, you know, the Chinese. What they did do, though, is they had a character come out as Yosef, right? And Yosef showed up one day on a call as the wise and soft-spoken guru, right? And he talked about how wise Chinese elders are, how they love us, how they're so intelligent, how they've already accepted the bankruptcy of the United States, and they're the only reason why we're kept afloat. And he was wax poetic about how incredible they are, how wonderful they are, and how we are fat, gluttonous, useless Americans. Now, this psyops was very blatant, but in reality, that same psyops have been playing out in our culture for about 40 years. They've been doing this to us for years, making us feel like we don't have the right to do this or that. You know, we don't have the ancient structures that other cultures have. And who are we? You know, we're an immature and young, you know, overly ambitious, arrogant group, right? And so they tried to shame all Americans, right? Try to shame all of us, so that when the wise, benevolent elders came in, we would all be like, oh, thank goodness, please, we don't know what we're doing. We'll be your slaves. And we would once again go back into a contract just like we had done previously. This was the plan. Now, so you would have had the global currency reset. The economy would have collapsed. After the economy collapsed, you know, and there was these people with what seemed like lots of money, but the U.S. dollar would have collapsed. So then, according to the Singleton documents, you would have had one of two options. You either would have had an asset-backed currency. Now, or you would have had done away with all paper currency or all, you know, any other tangible currency, and you would have had just digital currency, thus making the banks the regulatory authority on every single monetary transaction in the world. And that would also make them the sole operating government in the world, because governments would no longer matter, because if all the money was regulated by the bankers, they would have absolute control. Now, in this process, they wouldn't have introduced that right away, right? But in the process of the past 7 years, Kim was behind the scenes taking them apart, and they didn't have access to the trust where all the assets were. So being an asset-backed system, number one, was never an option. It was never an option. They have not had access to it. It was never an option. The next thing is that if they were governing the banks right now, that might have worked, but all of the times they did exchanges and things like that, it was mirrors, right? So everybody who didn't exchange, they were told, when this is your pittance, right? Here's $1 million, but when the real thing goes down, you'll have access to all the money that's there, right? So I've talked to people and seen accounts with 155 million, or I spoke with a woman who had 3 black Visa cards, with $76 trillion on each of them. She was just waiting for it to be activated. Now, this is the perpetual state that they would leave everyone in. Now, this is, described in the Bible as hope deferred maketh the heart sick. And they took all the people that would have been resistant, right? All your dreamers, imagineers, your inventors, all of those people, and they told them, look, we're going to make all your dreams come true by funding them. You're the one with a great idea. You're special. You're incredible. You're amazing. You're going to be the boss. You're going to change the world. You're going to have so much money. You'll be able to do everything you ever hoped. And everybody bought in, not realizing that ultimately it would have just created a broader version of socialism anyways. But anyways, so all of these people were put in slow motion. So all the amazing research they were doing in development, and just honest work they were doing, they stopped because they all believed the RV was about to go down, right? And they stagnated our whole culture. Everything, all the progress we could have made in that time, they stopped it. That's why they often refer to the 6,000 plus patents that have never been brought to market that are world changing. In our network alone, we have a couple hundred at least world changing inventions. Ways to make cars that run on water, that create carbon pellets that you can put in the soil, free energy devices, devices that will literally purify all the air on the planet in a matter of days, right? It's incredible that what they suppressed. Now, they suppressed all that because if we would have known that was possible, the economies would have thrived. People that never had money would have had money. And those who were in these elite positions of control, they would have no longer been in control. So what they did was they waged wars. They, assassinated people all over the world. They killed all types of bankers. They were trying to do the right thing, right? And anybody who couldn't perform and bring the money in from the off-ledger accounts, which is the trust, right? The Man World Holding Trust, if they couldn't do that, they would kill them. Even though the reason why they would die is because they had some outdated paper-written code book that had these codes that they had used before that worked. Mm-hmm. But now they couldn't work. So when you are a ruthless, evil villain ruler, that's what you do, right? You kill people that can't do what you can't do either, right? But you hold them responsible. Nobody holds you responsible. And just to demonstrate that you are absolutely in control, you kill them, right? And I actually know people that were in the room when there was heads taken off by Chinese ninja assassins, and they were in the room live. They were there on site when they entered numbers into the banking system and couldn't bring the money down. So I know that. I know all of that stuff. Everything I just described is first-hand information. Either I was witnessing it happening as it went down. I worked with the White Hats to provide them intel. They provided me operational intel, and we exchanged that all the time. Many times I had tipped them off about different things. And I know what they were doing. They were at the behest and the guardianship of the Chinese elders. Whatever the Chinese elders told them to do, that's what they did. Now, we've already identified the same Chinese elders. I was also in one of their chat room with one of their trustees who had a Thursday morning meeting. Every Thursday morning at that meeting, they are the ones who started the disinformation every single week. And I would watch as that intel went out, how it would get changed and manipulated slightly, just so much. And everybody by the end of the weekend, everybody had different intel. But it was all pretty similar. So everybody said, yeah, it's all happening. We all know what's happening. So that was the plan. Now the plan was, it's actually something called the tomorrow game, right? Tomorrow game is people will wait.
Would you like to play the tomorrow game?
No.
Well, we could if you don't want to do it today, we could do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. But so in this, they play the tomorrow game. Now, the tomorrow game is that they by studying people, right, and operating with these psyops, they realize that people, when they've waited so long, right, no matter how long they've waited, if you tell them, look, just give me till tomorrow. Give me, Monday, give me till Wednesday, right? If you tell them that, they will continue to wait. And while they wait, they do nothing. Because it's about to happen. And everybody can say, I can wait one more day. I can wait one more day. I can wait one more day. And so they kept everyone in a perpetual state of waiting one more day. Now, that process was going to lead to one of two options. It was either Project Bluebeam, where you'd have a fake alien invasion, and the fake alien invasion would have united the world against common enemy, right? Mm-hmm. But it might not have killed enough people. There was also the zombie apocalypse, which is why you saw down in Florida when they experimented with the actual zombie virus, and people were escaping from somewhere, no one knows where, and were eating people's faces, right? They were just attacking them. Right?
And they blamed it on bath salts.
Right.
They were someone smoking bath salts. They were using some kind of drug, and so. Yeah, which is ridiculous. So right. This was an experiment with the zombie apocalypse virus. Right now, what they had planned on, again, this is other first-hand information. Up in the northwest of the country, we know that there was special ops teams there that were instructing people that there was about to be an outbreak. Right, and this was 3 years ago.
and there's going to be an outbreak, so they were going to herd everyone into the stadiums to quarantine them, right? Now, not so much the quarantine, but one of the areas that was happening was Seattle, right? Now, my theory, and this part is my theory, is that they were going to infect them with this zombie apocalypse virus, right? Which is why you have the show out called iZombie, where a bunch of that the zombie virus is contained in this one area, and it's transmitted initially through an energy drink, right? Through a nefarious, evil cabal energy drink company, who knows it's causing the zombie virus, and still continues to put it out there. And then they made it just very normal for people to be zombies, right? We also know that there was all types of herbs that kids were smoking in lieu of marijuana, which is actually healthy for you. And it was actually creating zombified kids, right? It was causing, like, you'll see these kids walking around looking like zombies. And then on top of that, we know that with all the vaccines, that there's all this aluminum and mercury and leukemia and various things that were shortening our lives, making us sick. And then now lately, we just realized that there's the VMAT2, right, which is something I definitely think they've been putting in, which takes someone who's naturally passionate about anything, but in this case they said religion, and turns that into disgust, which is in part, and then they also cause gender dysphoria, right, to limit our breeding. So you have all of the male infants born, they get injected with vaccines that have a full female genome from an aborted fetus in their body, and the opposite is true for the girls, right? So they did that, and now you have this whole generation, like an outbreak of gender dysphoria. And then all those bought into the cabal have lost their minds. So they, it would seem, but they portray it like we're the ones that are successful and intelligent, and you know what, gender bias is ridiculous. So what we're going to promote is, this 7-year-old boy, like the mother is a doctor, and she's insisting that he has a sex change, right? And in the process, since all the way back, like the Cosby Show and before that, right, they have been emasculating men. They have been portraying men as bumbling idiots who can't manage a house, can't do anything, can't function, right?
Right.
And but the women are holding everything down. They're heroes. They replace us in movies, for anything that
right.
Traditional comic books that are males. Yeah.
They reverse all the genders and make the leads the females and so on, and they're still doing. It almost I don't want to. Sometimes I just get so fed up. I really don't want to watch anymore. It's just, I kind of. Do I really want to go and see another Marvel film? Right. Look what they did to Thor. Come on, the God of Thunder. Made him fat.
He took Captain Marvel, the female superhero, who was beautiful in the first movie, and they made her all butch and like manly, right?
Right.
It's like that was just an unnecessary component to the story, right? And it didn't help in any way. It was just propaganda.
Right.
But
it was manipulation more than propaganda.
Right.
They're definitely manipulating.
So now, all the people involved in this plan, now I will say that I know that this is the plan even more so because about a month ago, I talked to another white hat who was very much in the know, and he knew about the Pentagon Task Force, and he was very knowledgeable on a lot of things, and he had technology he was sitting on. And he told me the Iron Mountain agenda is going perfectly. So he was very much bought into that agenda because they were all told that they were going to live, like they were part of the select group that was chosen to survive, but the rest of the people had to die because the Earth depends on it, because in the Iron Mountain agenda, they had to decide on common enemies, like I said, aliens, right? Another one would be if there was an outbreak of the zombie apocalypse, right? Or one of the other enemies is the economy. Another one of the enemies is the weather itself, the climate. And they used all of them. So what would have happened is you'd had a massive outbreak of disease. Then, remember in Vietnam they used Agent Orange, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like a combination of like LSD and steroids, right? To make super soldiers, or a version of super soldiers, you would have injected all of these, Asian military that are settled here, as well as the Islamic jihadist camps, right? And and whatever else is here, right? I mean, the Blackwater groups, the different cartels, and MS-13, all these different groups, right? And they, I'm sure, all think they're on the same team, right? Or actually, they think they're the only team. But in reality, they're all working for the cabal, and they would have all killed each other along with all of us in the process. And then you have this hopped-up military UN force, right, on steroids and LSD, and LSD alters your perception of light when so it's not even like you're looking through your eyes. So what would happen is that people, you start to see their fear. So their fear would manifest and manipulate the way their face looks, right? So even people that might not be infected with this alleged zombie apocalypse virus, they would just be firing at will, right? It'd be like shoot first, ask questions later.
Right.
And there would be, and even though the military guys wouldn't necessarily be bad guys, but they're manipulated now, they would have, napalmed, stadiums full of civilians, innocent people, because they were in there, and while they were in there, they pumped the zombie apocalypse virus to the vents, and now they're devouring each other. And while they're devouring each other, it's like, what other option? You got to kill them. It's contagious, right? So,
right, and the whole part of making people desensitized to killing zombies. Well, they were already dead, right? So you're not really killing them; you're just stopping them from moving around. So you take away the stigma of killing somebody.
Right, that's exactly right. And you have statistics from World War I and World War II, where it was less than 13% or 14% of the actual soldiers ever even fired their weapon. And those who did, most of them fired over the heads of the enemy because it's so against human nature to kill. So by the time Vietnam came around, they were really experimenting more excessively with technology that explains, how they got them to kill by dehumanizing. Now, that's what they've been doing to us, right? They're taking our babies, and if they survive an abortion, you can kill them anyways, because what's the matter, right? They've already dehumanized us. And that has all been going on. So that's true. Now, that's the downside of what their plan was. So a lot of times when they say trust the plan, the reason why I'm so skeptical is because that is the plan. That was the plan they were talking about.
I don't disagree that is the plan. I'm just saying that there is another plan, one that is in operation. Plans always change. People are always under the old plan, and some people say this was not a good plan. We have to come up with a better plan, and those people, do. And even if they have to keep it secret from the ones that they were in on the original plan with. So that's why I say trust the plan.
No,
I'm not thinking it's the old plan.
Yeah, no. Now the new plan is the restoration plan. And that plan is Kim's plan, okay? Now, this plan, even though Kim was gathering forces, Trump's been doing things, there's lots of good people who've been working diligently to change that outcome, right? But this restoration plan, it was only about 2 months ago that this was finally introduced and accepted and embraced when they had the G7 meetings and all this stuff, because they were all supposed to come with a plan, and none of them had a plan. Kim was the only one. But they were instructed that the plan to destroy the Earth and annihilate the population was out of play by their bosses, right? So the restoration plan, though, is what Kim proposed and what she's putting in place now. Now, everybody agreed to it except the Dragon families, right? So, whatever, the Rothschild, Deep State, Chinese elder douchebags, right? So, at the end of it, what you've had since then is that plan being implemented, and Kim has now introduced the key integrated military system, the key intelligence and military system. So there's my first ray of hope, right, in the sense that I know that when the Chinese were there with the military equipment in Pakistan, ready to start World War III, that, Kim had the ability to send in ships with frequency devices on them that completely disabled their military equipment, and they essentially had to walk back. So not back to China, but wherever they had to walk back somewhere. Now that's one thing. So I brought it up to her about the UN military vehicles here, but I know that Kim knows about that too, because she's the first person to ever show me a UN military vehicle that pulled up on her in Arizona to try to kill her. So I know she knows about that. So I know that she has the ability with, this Earth Command, which is made up of galactics, which have been permanent residents here, probably for as long as we have, or around there, right? That were enslaved just like us, that are all working in coordination and collaboration with Kim. And Kim is the ambassador for the planet to represent humanity, because humanity, it is our obligation and responsibility as guardians of the planet, to take care of the planet. So that's what's been going on, and she's been using the quantum system to do it. And she also introduced the key integrated monetary system. Now, from what I understand, there's more systems as well coming. So when those get introduced,
more
Kims, because she's made it. Now, she knew she was going to have to do this, because I talked to her about it, a year and a half ago. And when we talked about this a year and a half ago, I was kind of like, Kim, you're just going to have to take control, because they don't believe you, and they only respond to totalitarian, this kind of authoritarianism, right?
Right.
Like dictatorship.
Right.
And Kim said, she's like, I know I'm going to have to take control at some point for a brief period of time to empower the people.
Right.
Because we as the people are creating reality, and the reality that we've created is one where everything they told us, we've brought into reality with our creative energy, by our life force. So to retell the story and get the truth out there, you have to undo the mess. So that's what I'm confident in, is that she's undoing the mess. But all they know how to do is just keep doing the same idiotic thing. So if there's any of you out there in the cabal, listen, you have not beat her not one time. This is one woman that has brought down your entire plan, your entire organization, your entire charade that has been going on. And listen, she did it for you, because you guys thought that you were somehow going to walk away and be the 10% that made it through. But that 10% was just a part two of the plan, where you all would have got killed too, and everything on the surface of the planet would have been turned to dust, and they would have harvested all of it. So let go of that plan. That plan sucks. Everybody dies in your plan, including you.
Yeah, that plan sucks.
Yeah, it does. So.
Yeah, how about so many people go along with it? That's the real craziness of it. How did people get hypnotized into believing that is a good plan? Let's do this. You know
what I think? It's like anytime somebody thinks they're in the know, it creates a hazard. It's because you aren't really in the know. You just know the little piece they show you, right? Like, so on one side of the wall, it's like, look at all this gold. It can all be yours. And on the other side of the wall, they're raping and killing your family and turning them into stew. It's like they just never saw the whole picture.
Right. Yeah, but they just go along with it because they think that they're going to be on the right side of things, right? Or for their benefit.
Right.
For their benefit. Choose your sides wisely, right? That kind of. It doesn't matter what's good or bad, right? You're just this idea that relative moralism. So your morals are dictated by the situation. Necessity and the difference. Who's to say that the Aztecs shouldn't have eaten hearts? By ritual sacrifice. I mean, you're not part of their society.
Yeah. Relative morality there.
So it's like this. No, there is actual evil, right? There, even if people volunteer to be sacrificed, it's still under limited information, right? They don't know the whole story, right? And because of this, this is they're tricked. It's a fraud. It's a con.
Yep. And the whole thing, was perpetuated by, the trio of death at the top, who just sat around coming up with ridiculous ways to torture us, and thought it was hilarious. And you'd never believe that. But their whole goal was, look, we're going to have these people harvest, and mine all the mines and get all the assets and resources for us, because they're our slaves. And then we're going to kill them all. And then we're going to leave.
Right. And the ones that they were going to get to turn against their fellow humans, right? Where they elevated, they separated them, right? They said, "Oh, you're better than the rest," and this is how you do magic. This is how you get power. Do these ceremonies, do these ritual sacrifices, do these things, because the other things that you think are good are really bad, right? They go along with it, right? And oh, by the way, here's your room full of goodies, right? Because you participated in what we asked you to do, right? And you did it, so here's your reward. And it kept rewarding them over the centuries, until it becomes this where you could have some girl being brought up watching 1,000 babies sacrificed a month, and that was that was their reality, right? That's where they're living. Everyone outside of that bubble was lower. It was dehumanized, or in other words, they were more than human. They were gods.
Right.
So they elevated themselves out of being human, and now they are completely, transformed into something energetically. They are different. They operate differently. So we have to know that. And when you're trying to participate with them and you're going along with it because you think that's the way to go, that's, when it is, selling your soul to the devil. It is, changing what you think is good and bad, right? And reversing it, right?
Yeah.
But you were deluded. You were conned. You were conned into it. Because the benefits can be just as wonderful on the other side. You can have abundance on the other side, right? But not when they control the way the money is done by debt.
Right. I mean, it's just amazing that this is all real. But Dan, by the way, even the most ridiculous things that we've talked about, like Dan, when you were talking about I don't know if you're talking about the chemtrails or the vaccines that were actually designed to turn us into bugs. Well, now there's actually an article about this, about people actually developing these little like really super jagged, hard hairs coming out of their.
Yeah, it's actually a form of mushroom, not really bugs, but yeah, kind of. They end up, if it's a bug-like mushroom, but it's kind of, it's a spider-like mushroom.
Yeah.
And interesting, that made it also into the new Star Trek. The way that you travel the universe through the Star Trek Discovery, and it was through this mitochondrial fungus that goes interdimensionally, right? they tied in the psychedelic trips of
Gary
of LSD and
of your worst nightmare.
Right. But
there's something to that though with the Mantis, right? Like, because I know, like in Cambodia, I can't remember what it's called, but in Cambodia, like allegedly, and I don't know I don't know the date on this, but allegedly, like there was like bugs or giant spiders that just came through a portal and just started devouring people. Like many years ago, which is the most terrifying thing I ever heard. So I don't even like to say that, by the way, because that was like when I was a kid. It was like I watched a movie about tarantulas. Man, that messed with me my whole life. I mean, until recently.
Well, when I was a kid, I was fascinated by bugs too. With two bugs that I really I would collect and kept as kind of pets to observe them were mantises and a particular spider that was called the garden spider. It had like kind of these it was all black, fairly large, about inch and a half circular, but had a very big abdomen, but had these banana looking yellow banana shapes on its back. So I was just fascinated by both of them. But the mantises, I really didn't want spiders crawling around on me. But the mantises, I'd let them crawl over. I'd pick them up and I'd let them crawl on me. I put them on my head, when I was a kid. But but this idea of this particular fungus that is it grows these little hairs. It's put into the chemtrail so that it feeds off of our energy, right? Until it actually raises itself up and when it matures, it actually leaves behind the physical body and elevates in a energetic way. So
my gosh.
Yeah. So that's what this encompasses the the entire planet, right? The whole idea is for them to suck up the whole planet's energy and elevate it up. So it is a parasite. Funguses are a parasite, right? And it does do this, and its queen kind of just reminded me of that one film. I think it was called Falling Skies. It was I think was the name of the series. Where they had the alien intruders coming, and they had ultimately this being, this mushroom, or this spider-like being, was the ultimate control of all these other species. That they had them doing their bidding, right? That they controlled from a queen.
Yep.
Right. Which is the same that was in Independence Day, right? There was ultimately a queen-like figure in this hive mind type scenario. So I think we're again. They're telling us the story, right? Of this is even the boar,
right?
Same thing. The boar had the queen figure in the center. So I think literally they tell us that what is going on in these fiction stories, right?
Yep, I agree.
But
Kim actually met the Mantis Queen, right? And she actually stood there. It was like what do you call it? It was like she met before some galactic council, and the Mantis Queen was there, and she was like, "Look at all we've done for you. Like, we deserve to take all the assets from the planet, right? Like, look at all we've done for you." And Kim, her argument was, all you've done for us. You've drugged us, divided us against each other, against by race, by color, by sex, by creed, by everything. You've even divided the hemispheres of our brains. He said, you've destroyed any chance humanity has to ascend. You haven't done anything for us, right? And so she shut her down, and Kim actually she won that case, because that's the kind of things that have actually happened, right? That's real stuff. Now, in this, later Kim, because you have to, this is just the way people do business, right? It's like if all of a sudden the cows rose up, right? Like, you'd be like, hey, we get to eat you, right? Like, that would be the argument, right? That's how they feel, right? So it's not even, yes, I would call it evil, because it is a darkness, it's a lower frequency and type things, right? But as far as I can tell, it's like, well, that's just who they are, right? So, and there's groups, I guess, on this planet, because we have living water, it's a very, very valuable planet to the whole galaxy, I guess, right? So, Kim made a deal to give them some portion of living water, right? And then also, there's another group that actually is responsible for the GMOs, right, of galactics. And they're they grow stuff, right? And so they're leaving. They're going back to their planet, which was destroyed by the same group, the Draconian and the Mantis. And when this is done, it's about 5 months left, right? And these portals will open, these original 5 portals that will allow trade back and forth. They're going back, and they're taking with them a lot of the seeds from this planet so they can replant their planet.
Awesome.
So it's amazing, though. There's stuff. And before I met Kim, sorry.
Okay.
But before I met Kim, I remember asking, just being frustrated, because I knew there was something to what people were talking about. But what I couldn't understand is it just seemed like everybody was just sitting around meditating, right? But they never did anything. And I remember meeting Kim, and she goes, I'm not talking about something I saw in meditation. It was one of the first things she said to me. She goes, I'm not talking about something I saw in meditation. I'm talking about people I've rode with on planes, places I've been, experience that I've actually had. And I was like, yeah. And then she's proven it to me. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And she's proven it. And she showed me things I couldn't even imagine were real, And it's all played out. And now, she was the right bet, obviously, because, I got more confirmations from other countries today, other banking systems, other treasuries from other countries, that they validated that the KIMS system, the KIM system, is in operation. And some places couldn't even use the SWIFT system at all. But Kim said it's replaced, so I would imagine people who think they're sending a SWIFT transfer probably aren't. They're probably just not being told. So Kim is real, is my point. It's real. She's real. What's happening is real. The nightmare that would have happened is real, and it does require, some participation is required. We're going to have to stop waiting for other people to save us and realize what Kim says all the time. You are going to have to save yourself, because this is going to be a hard thing for a lot of people to swallow, and there will be significant losses. I do believe it. Now, I don't know what that'll look like or where that'll come from. It might just be all bad guys, But, haven't all of us in some way been complicit, right? Like, we've worked for corporations that were evil. We've worked for, we've used products that weren't, that were made by kids that were being enslaved, all types of things, right? So all of us, on some level, have got to kind of acknowledge, like, wow, we've contributed to this on some level by accepting this, by not taking responsibility for the world we live in and realizing we're the ones creating it. But and I guess this generation can't blame us per se, but but still, well, what do? Blame our ancestors and then just die, or do we take responsibility and we change it?
Right. Right. Well, responsibility. Stand up.
Yeah.
Do something.
Right.
Get moving. I was I caught not all but part of a new SGT report. And they're really talking. They were doing an interview with someone who was talking about, the human trafficking portion of things, and what the one thing that I caught was an interesting comment. He was saying that that the elite know that they're now on limited time. They know that this is now unstoppable and it's coming out, right? And now they're freaking out. Right, because this is a good when you hear these kind of things coming out more and more, that the people that have been there quiet, didn't approve of it, they weren't maybe directly involved with it, but they kind of knew it was going on. They were hiding their eyes because they didn't want to take responsibility. They didn't want to get out in front of this. They kept their head down. They had no toxic masculinity.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's people. They just kind of. In reality, it's like they all just kind of said, "Well, that's not my business."
Yeah. It's not your business, right? Yeah, of course it is. It's everyone's business. You have to protect your kids. You have to stop people from being abused.
Yes.
You cannot just stand by and let things happen to other people, because it will eventually come back and get to you. So
yes, I saw something. I saw a meme about this. It's like when the vaccines were happening, and they were imposing them on one area. I didn't say anything because it was like somebody like talking to the first person saying, I didn't say anything because I didn't live there. Or I didn't have kids. Then it was like, then I had kids, but I didn't live in that town. And then I sent my kids to a charter school. And then when they came for my kids, there was nobody left, right? Yeah. Because that really is what happens. And this is why right now the most important issue is the vaccines. Because the vaccines, the reason why there's this sudden push, right, is because there's an executive order that what really matters is our constitutional rights. And President Trump has said openly in the executive order, as well as at the United Nations and in speeches, that he will fight to protect our religious and conscience freedoms and how important they are. And if you take those with these vaccines, right, what they're doing is you're kind of getting everyone's buy-in, right, because you're dumbing them all down.
Yeah.
And the effects are much, much worse than what people realize. And there's dramatic, immediate, acute effects. And then there's long-term effects that are like time bombs that go off in you later when combined with other vaccines or other products in the air, the environment, right? And then they have plausible deniability that, well, there's no, they'll say their claim to fame is, correlation doesn't mean causality, right? Like maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We don't know. Well, if we don't know, stop using them.
Right.
Because it's amazing. So there's that, and I feel pretty good now. I've been working on the vaccines with this group all day, and we have the exact method to dive in on it, and I'm excited about that. So we will most likely have indictments within the next week.
Oh, so before Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving, and we will definitely be, be calling a grand jury to do that, to address that and prove our case. And once we do, then people have spoken. That is the final say of the people. That is the law of the land, and that will allow the door to open to say, if you try to overturn this, you are now saying that there is no constitution, right? So there's not a court that really wants to do that, right? And it would be horrible, horrible. But that's not going to happen either. So I'm excited,
Yeah.
Got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. On every level, things are looking much better. But we do have to go through this period, which is going to be very traumatic, right? For a lot of people. The people that are woke, that are really sleeping, these woke people will find out that they weren't woke, and they were actually
right. You'll know if you're truly woke if you're not offended when things start going down. Like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming, but I accept it. But you're not woke if you're mad.
Yeah, and if everything that you think that makes you woke is now actually the opposite of being woke, then you realize that you're now really woke. If you can follow that. Because,
sorry. So I have some other news too, man.
Okay. Go for it.
Really good news that a Representative Skillicorn, who is the congressman in the Chicago area that we reached out to, as well as several other congressmen, senators, cabinet members, things like that. We launched this to every mainstream media outlet in the country, on full board, getting them full details, full documentation, absolute proof that no one of reasonable or sound mind could deny. And Skillicorn actually responded publicly on Twitter to it, and now we know that this is not entirely true, right? But I'm not going to throw him under the bus because he's helping us. So, and he actually said he was gonna dive into it right away and put it out there on Twitter publicly. Now, when you make a statement like that on Twitter, it's because you have to, right? Like you've acknowledged. But from what we heard a rumor that they knew about it and he wasn't sure what to do. And because he didn't know what to do, he was freaking out. And so he, maybe that was just a kind of a public statement. But the fact that his public statement was, they're looking into it. Now what's going to happen is that we are going to unleash the real pressure that we've been holding back and really start to go in and be like, you said it, now do it. Do it now because you can't wait. What needs to happen is immediate action. The problem with politicians and lawyers and all of these BS public positions of power is that they talk about, well, I'm going to look into it, and said we all lean back and all good. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you what, we are the exact opposite of that. So being that he said he's going to look, it will be a nonstop barrage of information, of efforts, of people on the inside all over Chicago and other areas, all over the country, as a matter of fact, to continue to keep the pressure on until this little girl is returned home immediately.
Yeah. Well, this is time to take Matt Gates' example and storm the bunker.
Storm the bunker. I like that.
Yeah. Just take action. This is not time to talk about things. It's like, come on, guys, let's go.
Right. Well, I totally agree. And you know what? We will, in all likelihood, we will have indictments against the Judge Dalton as well by the end of next week. And
awesome.
Probably, yeah. So I'm very excited about that. I'm pleased. We're making progress. We're moving in the right direction. And, it's time for people to actually flip the script, right? I was speaking to this really impressive, common law person today, and she said the problem is that people are unaware of. They think the government is over us. And the government officials like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, they think they're masters, but they're servants. They're public servants. They serve at our behest, not the other way around. And the problem is we act like servants. So they think they're masters. And it's time to call that bluff and start acting like we're responsible for this country.
Right.
And stop putting it off on someone else.
Yep. Yeah. It's just this. There's so much to take action with. You have to realize that the people that are in government right now, the majority of them have been compromised. I don't know if it's 51% or 71% or 91%, but they're compromised, and we have to replace them with us. We have to replace all of them. We can spot the ones that are coming together right now. You can say that Jordan and Gates. Just the handful out there that we see are leading the charge. Great. But it's who's surrounding them are people that are still politicians. We need to replace politicians with people that are not politicians. Like Trump. He's not a politician. Yep. Yeah, is he filling the role of a politician and he's like getting in the swing and understanding how to communicate to people? Sure. All right. But he's not a politician. The politicians are the ones that go into politics for the reason that they want power and control over others. And they're going to make themselves wealthy doing it. That's who we have to get rid of.
Right. I mean, it's this Roman, parliament kind of a, government system that has been passed down from generation to generation on how to control the masses by the elite, right? To make sports more important than real news, right?
Right.
So everybody goes into play sports and it's glorified and honored and huge, right? But the reality is it's like the gladiators, right? They sold the gladiators on the idea of the glory of battle, of dying in the arena, of the roar of the crowd. And they did this and they trained and they would tell them they'd win their freedom. And once in every 20 years, one of them they would let free. And you know what they did? They worked as a gladiator trainer, right? And but they weren't really free. And none of the gladiators really got free. They were always slaves. They were fighting for entertainment, which, it's no better than dog fighting or, anything else, just to let you know what they thought of us, right?
Right.
And that's what they're doing now. They have us fighting against each other about things that do not matter, and all of us, it's a joke to them. They make bets on us as we kill each other, right? And we think we're doing something noble. Right? Right. So it's very, very exciting to say, okay, well, how do you fix that? Well, you fix that because instead of them believing the lie that you're nothing, that you're not worthy of it, that you can't lead, that you're not smart enough, strong enough, pretty enough, good looking enough, whatever, all those things that they put on us, every one of those things is a lie. Humans are amazing, and we are no less than any galactic race or any other being on the planet. There is not a genetic bloodline that makes having a mean spirit and an addiction to adrenochrome that makes you superior to everyone else. It just doesn't exist. But exposure is important, right? You've been exposed to certain things. So now, as part of the job that we have, is that we get to expose people to all of the, well, as many as we can, right? The
Right.
mysteries and wonders of the spirit that's in all of us. And that's amazing.
I agree. I also I'm lining up right now that we actually have more Q posts that came out.
All right, drop it like it's hot.
All right. Let me share it so you can see it, as I already sharing it with the audience. A second here. Okay. So
right.
this is.
Here, I'll read, Dan. You interpret, okay?
Sure. that'll be challenging, but go ahead. 3588 is where we start. The one in the center. There's no volume. Tank. Well, that's not really good reading, Tank. Well, why don't I go ahead and continue, as I don't know what happened to Tank. Oh, he dropped off. Oh, that's what. Hello.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah, I said that wasn't good reading. I don't hear anything.
Okay, here, I'll read again. So, this is Prosecutor John Durham and Q started on the same day.
Well, it's the one before that, 3588.
35. Oh, okay, here we go. Why did the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine regularly monitor comms of U.S. journalists in Ukraine? Okay, so July 8, 2019. Serve SURV. Let's see what's names.
We also have a Twitter link there. So do you want to go there first, or just read it?
Yeah, go to the Twitter link. That's good.
Let's see.
Okay.
From Sarah Carter. Okay, scandal.
All right, scandal. What kind of tools and assets could a State Department official have allegedly used to surveil U.S. journalism in Ukraine? It must have been a matter of national security to order surveillance of U.S. citizens, hopefully duly approved by the U.S. court. I sense irony there.
Yeah. Now, is this a video, or is this just where's this taking us here? It's taking us to Sarah Carter's.
Scandal. State Department official was monitoring U.S. journalists in Ukraine. Dun dun dun.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Wonder if the other. Following a thread here.
Joining us now with reaction is the Ranking Intelligence Committee Chairman, Devin Nunes, is with us. Your reaction to all this, and I say, because it's so illegitimate, so unfair, and so unconstitutional, Republicans should not play a part in this, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head, Sean, that we have to have at least one member of Congress and at least one lawyer there to take notes so we know what they're saying. Because if not, they do control the gavels, they have the power, and they can do a lot of really bad things. Now, look, I find it interesting that Pelosi is not even going to bother to try to fight the administration and take this to court. I think that's new information. I'm surprised at that. But that means they really are just racing to get this done. And finally, I think what you're seeing is they're on a sugar high with polls right now. They've got 90% of the media poisoning people. They've got all the tech companies poisoning people. So they read the polls right now, and they want to race quickly, as long as it's 50% plus one, to impeach the president. It's like I think you said, a rocket docket impeachment. That's what they're trying to go for.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you specifically about Ukraine. We've all read the transcript. There's nothing there. There's not even a need for a non-whistleblower. But I want to get your reaction. But we do have Biden on tape bragging about leveraging in a shakedown $1 billion of taxpayer money to force Ukraine to fire a Ukrainian prosecutor in 6 hours. And he signed an affidavit saying that's why he got fired, or he's not giving him the money. Okay? That sounds like something really serious to me.
Yeah, so, and that's why I believe if John Solomon's reporting is correct from yesterday, that the Ukrainians had actually reopened this investigation long before Trump had ever even talked to the new Ukrainian president. So that could be ongoing. If you look at all the happenings in Ukraine over the last few years, it's very concerning. I hope they're supposed to bring in the former ambassador to Ukraine, from the United States. She's supposed to come in on Friday. I don't know if she's going to come in or not, but we're kind of looking forward to having her in because, as you probably know, Sean, Pete Sessions, former chairman of the Rules Committee, he sent a letter about concerns about that she was not serving the Trump administration well in Ukraine.
Well,
of course, she was removed. We've seen lots of bragging in the press about how she's going to be the one that really brings down the president.
Well, I have questions because my sources are telling me that the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Yovanovitch, my little birdies are whispering to me, I don't know if it's true or not yet, but I'm looking. Do you know of any evidence that she may have used government resources to monitor communications of American citizens? And do you know if any of these citizens might have been journalists?
Well, what I can tell you is that we know what Pete Sessions, congressman from Texas, now retired, we know what he had to say. We know that there are people within that were not only Ukrainians but also Americans that worked at the State Department who have raised concerns about this ambassador. That's why she was ultimately removed. We also have concerns that possibly they were monitoring press from different journalists and others. That we don't know, but we have people who are giving us this information, and we're going to ask these questions to the State Department, and hopefully they'll get the answers before she comes in on Friday. But we will give her an opportunity to ask these questions on Friday also if she shows up.
Okay, because now what you're saying is very alarming to me. I have 3 people now that have told me that they believe there is evidence that shows government resources were used to monitor communications. In one case, a journalist that is a regular on this program with the name John Solomon. Have you heard that, Congressman?
Well, what I've heard, and I want to be clear, I think there's a difference. What I've heard is that there were strange requests, irregular requests to monitor not just one journalist, but multiple journalists. Now, perhaps that was okay. Perhaps there was some reason for that it can be explained away. But that's what we know, and that's what we're going to be looking into.
All right, Congressman Devin Nunes, as well.
So there we go. So not only were they, spying on Trump and others, they were using government resources to spy on reporters, right, to see what they were going to say about the things happening in their Ukraine.
Wow. So I thought I was trying to understand, why was that such a big deal? So it was a big deal because, they had all types of corrupt things taking place, and they didn't want them to get the communication back into America.
Exactly.
So we would know.
Exactly.
Wow. So let's see what it says here. So then the response to that after that tweet was July 8th, 2019. SURV of SCJS terminated.
Surveillance of Supreme Court, I believe. And
Supreme Court Justice? Yeah.
And JS Justice Department. No, I don't know. I don't know what the JS is.
Okay.
Is terminated.
But
that was terminated in July 8th of 2019. So that's just now.
Oh. So basically, but they were conscious of it. They knew what was going on, so they must have. They're not just speculating. They know. Okay.
Right.
So relative to upcoming D-class events, let's see. Yes, I'm sure it is.
Yes.
What is this? SIGINT, FVEY, domestic. Do you believe in coincidences? Mathematically impossible?
Signals intelligence.
Oh, signals intelligence.
5 Eyes, domestic.
Oh, 5 Eyes. See, now look, when I see something like this, I'm telling you, there's a guy out today who actually talked about this, how that Q is definitely AI, right? It's definitely, and he said, and he could not spot any anomaly in it, and that's what he does for a living. I'll bring that tweet up in a minute. So I just thought that was interesting. So mathematically impossible, 1 in 100. But the narrative suggests nothing is accurately forecasted, and this is simply a big conspiracy theory. Loony. Ask yourselves a very basic question: would the fake news complex, New York Times, Washington Post, NBC, ABC, BBC, etc., attack us if we weren't a real threat? Ask yourself a very basic question: why is the forum where drops are made under constant attack? Narrative: deplatform necessary because precursor to violent acts posted there prior to carry out. Precursor postings occurred on 4chan, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, JG, whatever that means.
IG, Inspector General.
Oh gosh, okay. Push to deplatform. Why only 8chan? Bonus question: was the time of the posting pre or post the actual event? Logical thinking. March 20th, 2019. Increase in attacks, deplatform, shill infiltration, mainstream media, fake Make America Great Again direct links to terrorism, acts of violence, only demonstrates validity in close proximity to justice. Pain. Q. And then boomerang. Coming back at you, I guess, right?
Right.
So you are witnessing the largest organized disinformation campaign to ever be perpetuated on the public. Trust yourself. Be free in your thoughts. The Great Awakening. Return power to the people. You want to pull up that YouTube?
Yeah, it's a Trump will basically save America video, but.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'll just start it, and there's some people.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington.
There we go. It's that video.
Gotcha.
It's been played quite a lot.
And then it's this. Yeah. It's been a long time since we've had a non-corrupt president who works on behalf of the American people and not himself. America is no longer for sale. Q.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, that's a great one. The next, 3589.
Okay. Let's see. So I went the wrong direction, right? So 3589. There we go. Prosecutor John Durham and Q started on the same date, October 28th, 2017. All right.
What are the odds? Yeah. We'll go there.
Okay,
Secret.
so John Durham was appointed by Trust Sessions on October. By Trust Sessions?
Yeah, by Jeff Sessions. Trust Sessions is what Q always said. Trust him. Yeah, so.
That's interesting. Actually, I think that's a clue for us. John Durham was appointed by Trust, as in the Trust, and Sessions on October 28, 2017, as an interim U.S. attorney. Later nominated by POTUS as U.S. attorney. QAnon's first archive post is dated the same day, October 28th, 2017. Coincidence? I think not.
So that's why they wanted to point it out. So yeah, I think this is really telling. So are they saying that Durham is Q, or it just happened? That's when they started everything. And so it says, what are the odds of that? Right, mathematically impossible. Coincidence. The truth is right in front of you. So what is the truth?
Well, again, not to push this theory because too much, but I will say that I know Kim has in all the time I've known her, she's had connections inside the cabinet and before. And I mean, like, inside that part of the government. And there wasn't many, but this would make sense if it was, if I'm right about it being her. So, okay, now, then, what are the odds of that? Mathematically impossible? Wait, did I miss something?
I moved the screen to the next one. That's why.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right. Next one says a bunch of letters.
Yeah, 3590. Alexander Chupa, Ukraine, and Ukraine and the DNC plot to link Trump to the Russian hoax. So we got a link here for.
Sorry,
You don't see it?
no. I enlarged the screen to the wrong one. Sorry. So this is to the Russian hoax. All right. So read carefully, reread carefully. Spy _ insert EC no.
That's the whistleblower. Eric.
Oh, gotcha.
Eric Solomello.
So reread drops spy insert. What do these people have in common? Pelosi's son, Kerry's son, Romney's son, Biden's son. Hint. It has something to do with sons. I'm just kidding. Geolocation, Ukraine.
They're all on the same board. This is what they're all on the same energy company board. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. So,
Yeah.
well, and I bet it has something to do with uranium too.
Could be, yeah.
Interesting. So, hence energy coincidence. When GS calls, D's always answer.
George Soros.
Oh, when George Soros calls, Democrats always answer. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. Yeah,
So
I think that.
we'll click on this just to see. It's a letter from Grassley in the Senate. And this is about talking to Mr. Rosenstein, right? So, so I think they're, the center of the plan, Alexandria Chalupa, described by the reports of Ukraine American, who was consulting for the Democrat National Committee. I think that's part of the issue. I think what they want to know. To bring up.
Well, I think the first line is pretty important, don't you? That according to news reports, that the Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton and undermine President Trump.
Right.
And did so by disseminating documents implicating a top Trump aide in corruption, and suggested they were investigating the matter. Interesting.
Yeah.
We know that, but it's just interesting that's what they're referencing.
Yeah, so they want to bring this all about, but I think they're really focused on this woman, Chalupa, being really working very closely with the whistleblower. I think there's a connection to the whistleblower and her, that basically because they work together on the Ukraine issues, and that she was a DNC operative.
Right. And then, what are we, 391?
391. 3591. Follow the family. Let's see where that is going to take us.
The best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. When President Obama became president of the United States, he elevated science to a higher place in our national priorities. It is science, 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 and science. Breaking our crippling addiction to oil. They are developing desirable, efficient cars that get more than 100 miles per gallon. My son Paul, who is here with me, tells me that is par for the course, and not to be overwhelmed by that prospect that will be considered the normal.
We're having a very exciting day here in Washington, D.C. A lot of focus.
That's Pelosi's son.
On innovation and technology to help solve a lot of the world's energy crisis. Both oil spills, which we'll be participating in, cars and efficiency, which is represented today, and space and different adventures and using technology from space to make human conditions better here. My name is Paul Pelosi. Of course, I'm on the board of Biscoe Oil. And Biscoe's here today to talk about accelerating the future. It's about using cars in a more efficient manner. It's about utilizing natural resources, whether it be electricity or gas.
I think we got the idea.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
again, it's again about follow the families, the Pelosi family, right? What else is going on, right? Just like Hunter Biden, same thing. That's what they're pointing out.
So what is the little the code, man? Because I don't follow you that much. But what is all this stuff like exclamation point G7?
Oh, I'm so those are to know that it actually came from Q. Right?
Oh, okay.
That's what that means.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool stuff, man. It's the most fun I've ever had with the Q drops.
Well, let's see this next one. So, company co-founder by Nancy Pelosi's son, charged with securities fraud. Right. So that's the same company that we're talking about, right? So follow the family, follow the fraud of the family. So this is the people that were involved. I know a little bit about this story. With running the company were already under. I think they were indicted, by the SEC for fraud. So that's what that was all about. So again, follow the family. So they're involved in fraud. Here's the last three. The armor of God. All right, let's see what this link is going to
Wow. Oh, here, I'll read this one.
Go ahead.
The armor of God. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God. Oh, this is Ephesians 6. So that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of the truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Prepare for God and country, for humanity. We fight.
Yeah. So, interesting thing is that there's a difference between the one we're just reading and the next one, which is the same thing, except there's missing words. So there's a little puzzle put into this one.
Oh, all right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You want to write down the words?
I don't know. I just picked up on that because it was something. Let me click on the link here in the first one. We'll see. Oh, can I reach?
This
there.
site cannot be reached. DNS Pro finished. Interesting.
So
NX domain.
Yeah. So let's see. What's the next one? I just turn that down. It's just music. There's nothing on this video except this picture. So, and it just happens to, it looks like it's having to do with angels. A bunch of angels flying in the sky and a sword, flaming sword. So it's just Luke Skywalker with the lightsaber. All right. So
Skywalkers.
Yeah, and this one I just don't know what's wrong with that link. But okay, here's the last one. Spygate. Who gave the orders and approved the spying on Donald Trump and Ted Cruz? Well, it was the abomination.
Wow. Okay. So, Australia, Italy, United Kingdom, Co-op, Department of Justice, Bar, Durham, Class 1 through 4. Humans, signets.
Human
I know
intelligence.
you just told me what those mean.
Human intelligence and signal intelligence.
Okay. Non-5I.
Yeah.
Official chain. U.S. senior person. required given sensitive nature of target, read presidential nominee, POTUS plus Cruz, and then class 1 through 4. Who gave the orders? Who signed? Paper for normal NatSec, national security.
Right.
Comms to and from F plus domestic, foreign and domestic. F to F, is that foreign to foreign?
Maybe.
No, it can't be. All right,
Well.
1 through 4, U.S. persons initiate scope memo.
FISA. FISA to FISA. That's what it is.
Oh, interesting.
Let me see if it says that. Face to face, it says.
Face to face, 1 to 4 U.S. persons initiate scope memo. And then U.S. ANB, 1 and 2, NSA, unmasked required. NSA is greater than the U.S. ambassador. Okay. And then 1 and 2 is greater than the Australian, Italian, and the United Kingdom. Special order per director, class 1 through 9. Author unmasked per U.S.
Authority.
Was it ANB?
I say authority to unmask per U.S. embassy.
Ambassador.
Ambassador.
Okay.
Embassy.
So each unmasking requires approval, sign, key. CA domestic assistance with rogue FBI to avoid U.S. law, non-operational domestic. Question mark. Okay, so CIA, human, domestic placement. The T campaign, 1 through 3, jumps primary target. The Trump campaign, 1 through 3, jumps primary target. Trump White House spy insertion. National security. Personal advisor cabinet. CIA organized under DNI, Department of National Integrity. I don't know what is DNI.
Department of National Intelligence.
Of course, sir. Okay, so 2010 through 17 is Clapper, bulk.
Oh,
bulk.
And
then
go ahead. Coates.
Okay.
I was just saying that I just realized something. Spy insertion, right?
Right.
I wonder if that was Eric Charamella.
Oh, interesting.
Just a thought, right?
Yeah, sure.
So C_A, human intelligence, domestic placement, right? And Trump campaign 1 to 13 primary target, and then Trump White House spy inserted. So that would have been, EC as they called him over there, Eric Charamella. Ceramella, whatever you say his name. So then
it's
the last part was sleeper, prevent black op, release of incriminating documents. So that was his purpose, right? So he's activated to do this whistleblower thing for why? To delay the D-class, to delay the documents coming out. Just interesting. And if that might be the reason for all that. Just a quick refresh, 35.95. Yep, that's the last one.
Well, all that stuff is cool. I'm going to go back and reread everything that Q said.
Yep, I'm going to just go over to here just to point out sealed indictments are up to 134,570.
Great. It's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Well, no, that's good. Like, hey, it's all coming down. Everything's shake out. It actually seems like it might actually be like I never believed they were going to have mass arrests, but everyone's like, oh, they're having them now. It's like, really? Where? Who's being arrested? But we'll see. I'm a fan of getting rid of the bad guys.
Right.
And I feel much more confident about it now that Kim has put in the key intelligence military system, because at least I know there's someone at the helm that we can all trust, who has always advocated for us, since she's been around. So
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting. This system is coming on scene where all this stuff is now breaking. You know, as soon as this impeachment is over, what are they going to do? Impeach him again? You know,
we don't agree with the decision of everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have no evidence. We just want to impeach him, and we want the Senate to go ahead and then and then throw him out. Yeah, so they're just doing it for politics, right? And that's why they're I think it's you know, the purpose of exposing them, of of how they're actually acting, and this is so ridiculous anyway. Anyway, so I think we're about ready to see some things happen. I think next week is going to be interesting. You know, we're right into Thanksgiving week. Is this next coming week? Is this Thanksgiving week?
You know, I have no idea. I haven't even thought about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because we're done with 2 weeks. So it's a third week, a third Thursday, right? So it'll be this Thursday's Thanksgiving. So it would be this coming week. If they're going to do it before Thanksgiving, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You know.
Well, that would line up with everything that I'm hearing on my end. You know.
Oh, good.
Different sources around the world. Cool and gang.
Yeah.
All right, Dan. I appreciate you, and you have a great night. Everybody out there in the land of Oz, have a good night. All right.
All right, everyone. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe, and then we'll see how things go next week. And I'm feeling good, but we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Peace out.